Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Awaken Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. My good friend Benjamin Bernstein is back with us today, talking about a brand new subject. We're going to talk about amazingly fast shadow work with IFS. So whatever that is, we'll talk about it. So IFS is the Internal Family Systems Therapy, which is an amazingly fast and effective blend of psychotherapy, spirituality, and shamanism. And IFS is an officially sanctioned, scientifically proven modality that's been practiced for 40 plus years and is now growing faster than ever. And you can do IFS on your own or with a facilitator. And Benjamin's going to explain how IFS works, why he's so excited about it, and the amazingly fast healings he and his clients have been receiving from it. And so for those of you who don't know Benjamin, he's been on our show many, many times. You know, we have so much wonderful fun and wonderful conversations, wonderful processes. He hosts This Week in Astrology, a top 10 astrology podcast. He is a 3-time best astrologer winner. He is a professionally certified astrologer and has done over 9,000 astrology, shamanic healing, and life coaching sessions with a global clientele. He runs the Awakening Plus online spiritual support membership. He posts video astrology forecasts and other content on his popular YouTube channel, and Benjamin has lectured or taught at 5 national astrology conferences and retreats. He wrote the Shamanic Astrology chapter in the book Transpersonal Astrology, Explorations at the Frontier. And Benjamin is also a shamanic healer, an awakening activator, and life coach. He consistently facilitates powerful healings and spiritual awakenings in his individual and group sessions, and has devoted himself to over 40 plus years of spiritual practice. So I'm so glad that Benjamin's back with us. We always, like I said, have a wonderful time. We always learn something new and experience wonderful, wonderful sessions. So Benjamin, welcome back.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back, Alara.
All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about IFS.
Okay.
What is it?
Well, again, it's internal family systems therapy. And it was started over 40 years ago by a gentleman named Richard Schwartz, PhD. And he stumbled upon it accidentally when working with a psychotherapy client using a different modality. And over the years, sort of evolved into the system. And it's been growing especially strong since. I discovered it, I'd been aware of it for a few years, but it really just came to my attention much more strongly recently. I heard a podcast by Tim Ferriss. I listened to his podcast a lot, and he interviewed Richard Schwartz about it. And that got me intrigued, and I read one of the books and was like totally hooked. And the great thing about IFS, it has such a fascinating worldview about the human psyche. Their core premise is that we are not one personality, but dozens. And this is not, that doesn't mean you're sick with multiple personality disorder. It means you're a human being. I think we've all had the experience of saying, well, one part of me wants to do this, but the other part wants to do that, right? Yeah. That's 2 of those little sub-personalities in conflict. And because it's internal family systems, the idea here is you have a whole family of sub-personalities within you. And furthermore, all of them are good. They're all helpful and necessary parts of you, but some of them carry burdens. And what IFS does so amazingly is it helps the person being facilitated get into their inner world, which is in some cases not unlike the world of a shamanic journey. It bears a lot of resemblance to the shamanic underworld once you get in here. And we go and work with the part of them that is causing an issue. And this part might be in human form, it might show up as an animal, it might show up as a ball of energy, but it is a part of that person. And the idea is if this part can be unburdened and reintegrated, then that problem no longer happens. To be a little more detailed about the inner world, parts break down into 2 basic types. There are exiles and there are protectors. The exile is the part of you that got wounded. For example, if like you suffered a severe trauma at 6 years old, for example, that part would have separated out from the main part of you and will be off in its own little psychic space, isolated from the rest of you, and in pain. Then each of these parts has at least one protector, which is a part of you that is there to keep that part from, messing with the main you, as it were. And these protectors all mean well. However, some of them, especially those that are termed firefighters, go too far and can drive a person into extreme behavior up to and including suicide. So firefighters would encourage behaviors like, drinking too much or getting wiped out on drugs or self-harming behavior. And in their own way, they're trying to help, but they're not fully cognizant of the whole picture. And typically the exiles and the firefighters are created at the age when the trauma happened. So a exile and a firefighter created at the age of 6 would be acting the way a 6-year-old would. And since you have a greater wisdom, you can go in and work with those parts and help them understand that you're an adult now and you're more capable and you can work with them. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I find most cool about IFS is it says all these dozens of parts you have. You might say there's one ring that rules them all, which is the self, which they say with a capital S. And the self is, I would call it the divine self, the part of you that is spiritually conscious. And in IFS work, they make sure that the client has a significant degree of self-awareness. And once that self-awareness is present, then, and you don't have to be like 100% in self, but enough in self that you're not blending with the part that's having a problem. What happens to people, like if I say I am angry, in IFS, we would say technically the correct statement there would be a part of me is angry.
Right.
And in this case, if the whole of me felt angry, they would say that means that the angry part I have blended fully with the angry part, and I am now under the delusion that that part is all of me. Mm-hmm. And most people don't understand the breakdown that we are many personalities. And these aren't just like emotions. These are like full little humans inside us. Okay. And the magic of the system is that it gives you a very quick and very powerful way to go work with this. Now, I need to make a caveat here. I am not formally trained in IFS. In fact, just this week, I'm starting a formal 4-month training program online. Mm-hmm. And we'll, of course, know much more about it then. But I'm a really good self-teacher. And I've read what appear to be the 4 most important textbooks of IFS and have ingested them thoroughly. And once I got the information in my head, since I'm already a working shaman and I already do life coaching and I already do astrology consultations, I started trying out some of the IFS technology with my clients, and it worked so well. I'm even working with clients who are, who have suicidal ideation, and I'm able to get in and work with those parts that want them to kill themselves. And we're able to use this technology to calm them down and sometimes heal them completely. One client I'm working with a lot, for example, she had coached with me for a while. And when she came to me, she was in a very constantly worried, frenetic, kind of agitated state pretty constantly. And we did enough work where she was kind of cruising in a calm, more centered space. But then some catalyst came and she got back into this worried state again. And we said, okay, what's the part that's causing the problem? And it was the part of her, things were going so well. This part of, well, when is the other shoe going to drop? Mm-hmm. When are things going to get bad again? Because they always get bad. They always have. Okay. So we went and worked with that part and were able to use the process to unburden it and integrate it. And this is a coaching client I actually work with 3 times a week. And in the subsequent sessions, he says, I'm really having to get used to not having that part anymore. I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And with that part actually not there anymore, I'm having to get used to the new me and recalibrate my reality because it was such a big part of her. And now to have it like completely absent, she was having to get used to the new, better her. And it's funny how we sometimes have difficulty adjusting to an even more wonderful reality. But yeah, now that she has, she's feeling much better, obviously. Good. So that's the basic idea of IFS. What I love about it is because obviously there's a spiritual core to it. In fact, it's worth mentioning when in some of the IFS, one of the IFS books, they talked about person working with psychedelics. I believe it was like a PTSD veteran working with, I believe it was MDMA. And the person went into the MDMA journey And spontaneously, without any knowledge of IFS or anyone prompting him, he began doing a straight up IFS process with his wounded parts.
Wow.
And this suggests, just as I should probably tell the origin story of how the founder of IFS kind of came upon it. But the veteran just self-facilitating. He was himself enough. He's actually spontaneously self-facilitated and healed some of his inner parts without any prompting. So it's suggesting this kind of work is sort of natural to the human psyche. And the way the founder discovered it was he was working with a female patient who was bulimic and also self-harming. I mean, she was cutting herself like on her arms. And he was really worried about this part and had a very long session with the young woman. And he just basically bullied the part. He said, "You can't cut her anymore. You just can't cut her. You can't leave this room until you agree not to cut her anymore." Like he was talking to that part.
Right.
And I forget the phrasing. He says, you can't cut your arms anymore, I think is what he said. I may be slightly off on the facts here, but anyhow, she left, came back a week later and had slashes on her face.
Oh, wow.
And so, no, I didn't cut the arms, I cut the face, right?
Right.
So the part blended with her. And Schwartz at this point said, "I give up. You win. You beat me." And because he was at his wit's end how to work with this part of her. And the part said, "I don't want to win." Mm-hmm. And then he just working spontaneously realized that he could work with his part in a way that could unburden it from the pain it was having. And this one client really lit him up to realize, wow, there's inner parts in this person. And if you deal with them like wounded people, you can actually start bringing healing. And he actually got this woman where she didn't cut anymore and she got past her bulimia and all that. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then he began refining the process in the years after that. So that's a little of the origin of it. Now in my own work, I'm actually using it very often now in my own sessions. For example, when I do a shamanic healing session, it used to be we would use my invocations and I still like to open IFS sessions with the embodied awakening invocation because I still don't know a better way to quickly get a person into self, where you just say maximum embodied awakening that serves highest good, please, and relax and let your higher self merge into your body and you become a more blended human divine hybrid. So we start there, but then what I found in my own experience now, more effective than shaking a rattle or beating a drum, is to just do some IFS work and go right in and work directly with that part. Now, there is a fairly involved protocol in working effectively with a part. Now you might ask, well, why are we talking about this on this telesummit? Because actually my overall thrust in my practice now is fewer one-on-one clients and more attention on my Awakening Plus membership. And I want to mention here in case I forget, one tie-in to this theme with my membership is within the next few days, I will be adding a course into the membership that will allow a person to use their own self-facilitation of IFS to get past blocks in their law of attraction manifestation. Now, this is a slight tangent, but let me fill this in for you. The idea is that I teach basic law of attraction principles as part of what I do. It's not a main thing, but when appropriate, I bring that topic in. But some people go by the book and they do the steps and they don't manifest what they wanted. And what we've come to realize is if there is a wounded part in them that is somehow blocking the manifestation, a part that feels like I don't deserve it, or there's some other thing in there in the deeper psyche, not feeling worthy, or for some reason not being fully aligned with the manifestation, that can block all the conscious manifesting in the world. So what I'll be doing is putting a self-guided process in that the person can use to ferret out and hopefully heal and integrate that part. And here's another thing I adore about IFS. You can facilitate it on your own. I mean, there's actually a book that's on my website. I've in my resources section, which you can get to from the bottom of astroshaman.com, there's a little link that says resources. One of the sections is internal family systems therapy. And the very first book I recommend in that section is by an author named Jay Earley, E-A-R-L-E-Y, and it's called Self-Therapy, a step-by-step guide to creating wholeness and healing your inner child using IFS a new cutting edge psychotherapy, second edition. So what he does there, the book gives a complete explanation of IFS. It gives you all the parts and tools you need. And by the time you're done with the book, you can literally do it on your own. Now, the caveat is if you've got some really major trauma that is too much for your psyche to deal with, in a heavy duty situation like that, you're probably better off having someone facilitate for you. Okay. But if it's just something that isn't quite that heavy, a lot of people can find their wounded parts and facilitate them on their own. And in fact, we haven't discussed this, I don't mean to spring this on you by surprise, but if you, Alar, or anyone else on the call would like to have me facilitate them through one of those processes, they usually take 15, 20 minutes. And my title said amazingly fast. And that's another stunning thing. I've worked with people like this coaching client. I mean, her doubting voice waiting for the other shoe to drop had been plaguing her for decades. Wow. And we cleared it in 20 minutes. Yeah. It's just amazing.
That's fast. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So now,
I just want to let everybody know that we're not doing those personal sessions on this call because we don't have 15, 20 minutes to do for each person. Just putting that out there, right? Right, Benjamin?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe one person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But whether it's you or someone else, and again, the person who does it would have to agree to be very honest, transparent, and let the process goes where it needs to go. So this would require whoever this is to understand this is public. It's going to be on a public recording, and anyone in the world can see this. So it would need to be a person who's comfortable being that exposed. At the same time, you might get a nice healing. So
yeah, exactly.
Totally up to that person if they want to do that.
Yeah, sounds good.
But we don't have to do that, but I'd certainly be willing. So given all the things, the speed with which it works, the way in which, although it bills itself as psychotherapy, the way it also incorporates these very powerful spiritual and shamanic qualities. Now, I should add something here too. Now, in the textbooks, they often say how doing a piece of IFS work, getting to an exile and healing it, they say this may often take several sessions. Mm-hmm. But something about how I do it makes it go a lot faster. Maybe it's because I call in a boatload of allies. Maybe it's all the plant spirit work I've done and the consciousness I hold. But my nature is I want to get it done fast, mm-hmm. not too fast and not faster than a person can handle. But everything I do is designed how quickly and efficiently can we achieve the desired end result, whether it's a healing or going to the next level of awakening. And I guess just my quick energy in that context somehow enables me to facilitate these IFS processes a lot faster than the textbooks say they should be able to go. But nice. And again, can I add a couple of other cool things about the IFS technology?
Yes, please.
Nothing is ever coerced. One of the core rules of IFS is you start going in and working with the parts, and it's always, may I have permission to do this? Would you be willing to do this? Mm-hmm. You treat them just like people with courtesy and respect and honor. And if a part says no, you stop. At the same time, IFS has developed to the point where there's ways of asking a part that ensure that most of the time you'll get a yes. Mm-hmm. So the part only cooperates if it wishes to. For example, there's a part near the end of an IFS process where once the part has unburdened, then it has two choices. And usually this is a child part, younger, and it says, okay, now do you want to we've changed your reality. Now, instead of this dark, horrible room you were in, now you're in this bright, sunny field or whatever. Do you want to just hang out here and play for a while? Or would you like to come integrate with me, the human that I am now in real time? Mm-hmm. And in my experience, most of the time, the parts are happy to integrate. But sometimes they say, hell no, I want to play for a while. I want to go fly kites. And you say, okay, well, you just hang out. If later part you would like to integrate, just let them know. But go have fun playing. There's no coercion to integrate that part. And the working with parts ties into certain core shamanic ideas. For example, the idea of soul loss, SOUL loss. That's the part that gets wounded and pulled off to, aside. Yeah. And the soul retrieval is the same as healing a part and having it merge back with you. So the difference is, instead of a shamanic process that might be more forceful or making it happen, by coercion or force, this technology just invites the part, and only to do anything when it's ready. And I love the non-coercive nature of it. There's also an amazing technology within IFS. Let's say, well, for example, I've worked with people who might have been willing to do their shadow work, but they would blend with the part so heavily, they would just get like overwhelmed. And as soon as they go into that part, they're sobbing uncontrollably, or, now, amazingly, you can ask a wounded part to turn down the emotional volume. You can say, okay, we're a little too strong. Can you turn down the volume some so we can work with you without being overwhelmed? And that part will turn it down. I mean, something that all your life may have overwhelmed you, it'll turn the volume down where it's manageable. And it's stunning to think all I have to do is ask that part to be less intense, and it can be. And I can hold enough self with capital S energy to work with the part effectively. The idea with IFS, usually you want to be partially blended. You want to be merged enough with the part that you can experience its story and feel its emotions, but you can't be excessively blended to where you're just overwhelmed and incapacitated by the old trauma. So those are some key concepts of IFS that I'm, really excited about.
So you answered one of my questions, which was about the soul loss, soul retrieval, soul fragments piece. But it also looks at what about like inner child healing? So you're working a lot with the inner child, it looks like, as well, right?
Yeah.
So
but the idea is there's lots of inner children. Okay. You may have the part of you that was neglected at 2 years old. You may have the part that was abused at the age of 7, the part that got beat up at the age of 10. Each one of these is going to be a separate sub-personality within you. And with IFS, you can systematically go in and retrieve each of those parts, unburden them, and bring them back to wholeness. It's just extraordinary. And the people, and I believe I'm using IFS with all my coaching clients. I've got several, and to watch them in the last few months when I've been doing this, to see the shifts in them and how this is working. It's a whole level beyond just the invocation work I was doing with them prior. And let me mention how big a deal this is for me. I mean, for over 10 years, my main technology has been the invocations, where you call in your awakening, you call in your healing, and you just stay passive and the divine does this for you. In all that time, this is the first technology I've come across that excites me to the level that I was excited about the invocations, and still am. They still have an amazing, powerful place in my work. But, I didn't invent IFS. It's been around for over 40 years, but it is so effective. I'm just totally pumped at how wonderful this technology is.
Yeah, that's awesome, because you're right. You always say, in the past, you've always been saying, if I find something better, or if you find something better, let me know, right? You were always saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found that. Now, it's not, but it's a both end. It doesn't replace the invocations.
Yeah.
They have their place still, and they still do things. For example, it's going to be a lot easier for a person to use an invocation for healing or awakening at first to help start their own process than to learn about the intricacies of how to facilitate IFS for themselves. So what the invocations still have the edge on is their absolute simplicity and turning over all the technical part to the higher self completely. But if you can master the basic steps of IFS, and this book I'm talking about, if you get the physical book, it has the worksheets right in there about step by step what to do. And if you buy the audio book, then you can download the PDF, and they've got all the step by step right there in the PDF. So, they make it easy to kind of follow the steps and go through the process.
Awesome. So I was going to ask if anybody has a question about this IFS that Benjamin is talking about. Just raise your hand or type your question in the chat. I know people are going to want to know the name of the book again, Benjamin.
Yeah. I'll give just the short title. The main title is Self-Therapy, Self-Therapy. The author is J. Earley, Earley. And there is a physical book. There is the Kindle book. And I just recently discovered there are 2 versions of the audiobook. There's the original one, which has a different narrator, and then there's a new one that Early narrates himself. And I haven't heard the one that he does himself, but I also noted that the original audiobook is like 12 and a half hours or something, and the one he narrates is only like 6.5 hours. So my inclination, without having heard his version, would be go for the original, because if it's got like twice the content, that's obviously way better value. If you want to learn the nuances of what to do. I'm just making that assumption.
Awesome.
That's misspelled.
Oh, sorry.
You just typed in there his. So let me type it myself. The author is hang on. Make sure I got it right here. Yeah.
J.
So
okay. See, I spelled, I spelled it wrong.
Yeah. First name Jey, last name Earley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So what kinds of, I mean, like right now, like when I'm like, nothing is coming to me right now because everything is great, right? Because Robert's home, everything is great. I'm on cloud 9. I don't really have any issues now that he's home.
Okay.
But what kind of issues would IFS help with? Is it just major traumas or like?
No, I mean, it could be little or big. For example, basically anything that makes you feel less than wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, boy, it sure irritates me when she, quirks her mouth that way, right? Okay. Or whatever. So there's some part of you that somehow is getting triggered by that. And the what you do then is let me just give a better example. Like let's use the example I've already given. The woman who said, wow, things are going so well. When is the other shoe going to drop?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the part just waiting for disaster. Okay. What we did is, we got her to embodied awakening, and then she went to her inner world and she just asked, okay, I now call forth all parts within me that are related to me thinking disaster has to follow this good fortune. And then she just relaxed and she perceived in the inner world these parts showing up. Okay. And protectors came and exiles came. Well, there was one exile, and this one I think had 2 or 3 protectors actually. There can be multiple protectors for a single multiple protectors for a single exile, or there can be one protector for it can be one of one part and multiples of the other either way. Mm-hmm. Okay. It might be like 3 protectors for one exile, or
one protector for 3 exiles. Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
So anyhow, but you call them up, and most of the time a person can have at least some awareness. And again, the awareness does not have to be visual. It often is, but a person might just have a feeling. Mm-hmm. I'm just feeling this thing. As I said earlier, it doesn't even have to be human. I've had parts show up for people that are balls of energy, or animals, or even fantasy creatures. I mean, it starts to sometimes look like a fantasy movie because all these crazy wild things are showing up. Not only that, as a part gets worked with, it can transform. I mean, I had one client who had a part show up as a big red ball of flame. It was anger. And then as the part got healed, it turned into a beautiful white ball of light. Mm-hmm. Nice. And also the parts can change their names. Okay, the red part shows up. I am rage. One of the things you do is you ask it what to call it, and it tells you its name. And then if it's transformed, then it may say, oh, now my name is so and so. Okay, mm-hmm. So there's shape shifting that happens. It's totally shamanic a lot of the time.
Wow. So there's some questions in the chat, just so you know.
Okay, yeah.
Indie Sage says, do the various members of the internal family personalities identify themselves, like you just said? For example, by the age they splintered off.
Yes, each part will have a specific age, and one of the things you can do when you encounter a part is ask, how old are you? Or often the client will just know. I mean, I'll say, okay, the part came tell me about it. They say, oh, this is me when I was 6 years old. They just already know the age. And I can guide them. If sometimes they just spontaneously report everything I need to know, but I may have to ask, okay, what is it doing? Oh, it's a little boy in a corner, in a dark corner, huddled up, and his face is buried under his arms. Okay, that's not uncommon part. It might be explained that way. But often there will be a posture if it's a human part. Um, and then the parts speak to you. You ask the parts questions, and you ask permission to interact. See, the typical sequence is once, if you like, I'll give you a little more detailed breakdown of the typical process of moving with a part. Would that be a good thing? Or do you want to bring the questions up before I get more detailed than that?
Well, in this age is also asking, are the exiles as easy to access as the protectors?
Usually, but you deal with protectors first. One of the cardinal rules of IFS is even if the exile shows up and you've recognized it, the first thing you do is say, are there any protectors of this part who would like to come forward and work with me first? Mm-hmm. Because you do not want to go to an exile until you've worked with every single one of its protectors if there's more than one. If you go right to the exile, and even if you heal it, if the protector has not gone through its process, then you could have the same problem all over again. Right. As protectors have to be, see, a protector is the first thing you work with. Then when all the protectors have voluntarily agreed to step aside and let you work with the exile, then once the exile is, like, let's say the exile has been fully unburdened and integrated, you're still not done. Now you go back to every protector who showed up and you check with it. Do we have any unfinished business regarding this process? Do you want to continue in your current role, or would you now prefer a different role? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times with the part unburdened, the exile, the protector no longer has its current role as relevant. Say, no, I'd rather do this totally different thing now. And often you'll be totally surprised at what this part that used to make you really angry now just wants to go, encourage you to go to dance parties, or whatever. So you give all the parts the opportunity to change roles. Mm-hmm. If you, especially right. Protectors often need to change roles after the part they were protecting has been unburdened and integrated.
Right. Okay, makes sense. So if somebody wants to work with you, like Jody wants to work with you, so Jody would have to be, what am I saying? We can't just do this over chat. You have to be like physically talking to the person.
No, we would have to be interacting live on voice.
Yeah, exactly.
At least voice. I mean, if video is possible, that would be great. That would be optimal.
Yeah.
But at least I'd need to be able to have live voice interaction with you.
Exactly. Yeah. So just you talking about this right now, it sounds like it could be like a long process. It doesn't sound like 15 minutes, quick process.
Well, I've been amazed. I kid you not, my average duration from beginning the process to having everything wrapped up usually doesn't take more than 15 or 20 minutes in my experience.
Okay, cool.
That's amazing. That's just me.
Yeah.
It may take longer with other folks, but again, my energy is very fast.
Yeah,
in terms of the processes. Yeah.
So Jody, this would also mean you being, totally vulnerable and transparent, right? And being willing to, be totally open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if the person, now again, that's a big ask on a telesummit like this, right?
Exactly.
It's exposed to the whole world. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, if the person's not really being willing to do that, then the process might not work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that willing to be fully open, fully real with it is a prerequisite for the work to be fully effective. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So anybody have any other questions about the process and how IFS works? So far, we only have Jody who's brave enough to do it live in front of millions of people.
I didn't know you had that big an audience. That's awesome.
So Jody, if you want to work with Benjamin, you're going to have to unmute yourself. And if you can do video, that's better. But, if you can only do audio, I understand that too. Now we have more volunteers. Rebecca, Jessica, you guys are brave. Where is Jody?
There I am. I had a hard time figuring out the unmute button.
Okay. So Jody, can you do video or no?
Sure. If I could figure that out, hang on. Start video, I think.
Yeah.
There
perfect.
it is.
There you go.
All right, Jody.
You did it.
How are you today, Alara? How are you, Benjamin?
Good.
Great. Thanks for your courage, Jody. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, so you ready to dive into this?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
All right. So our starting process, actually everybody can do, because I'm going to start you with the embodied awake. And by the way, you may notice my eyes are shifting right and then center. That's because my camera is directly in front of me and my video monitor is off to my right. So that would explain any shifting of eyes I'm doing, just so you know what's going on here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I invite everybody to do this first part, because this is the embodied awakening invocation. And Jody, you and I are going to do this to get you into self with capital S as much as possible. But this is a sweet tool that anybody can benefit from and do even every day if you want to merge your higher self with your human self. So
Okay.
Jody, are you willing to do a process that calls your higher self into your human body?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I invite you to close your eyes. And Jody, are you in a safe container where you can fully open to this process for the next 20 minutes or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And Alara, just for reality checking, we're about 40 minutes into this and we have a maximum of 2 hours for this call, right?
Yeah.
So if it takes more than 15, 20 minutes, can we go a little beyond that if necessary?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. So Jody, and anyone else who wishes to do this, just become aware of your entire physical body with eyes closed, and just overall feel the body just somatically. And then notice any energetic awareness of subtle energy in or around your body. So Jody, may I have permission to tune into you and empathically monitor how you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. And again, Jody, you have also the word stop available. That's your safe word. If anything here does not feel safe to you, please immediately say stop, and we'll stop and figure out what needs to happen next. Okay.
Okay.
You're the boss here. Okay. All right. So, and let me hear you say stop just to make sure you can do it.
Stop.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So may we continue?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So Jody and anyone else who wishes to do this, just feel the body overall. We're about to call in higher self. The little bit you have to know before you do this, it's the metaphor of driving a car. Your personality is going to slide to the passenger seat and your divine is going to drive. And if at any point your personality doesn't like the divine's driving, it can slide back over, take the wheel again, and the divine will step right away out with no fuss. So I need your ego to know it's safe. There's no danger, no risk. Anything we do here is instantly reversible in terms of calling in the embodied awakening. The benefits of embodied awakening are there's a lot more harmony, flow, ease, and grace. Everything you're responsible for, you do more responsibly and joyfully. Instead of having to figure things out in your mind so much, you just know what to do through intuition, and there's more bliss. And of course, in IFS, it also puts you much more strongly in self with a capital S, and the work goes a lot quicker because of that. Does all that sound okay with you, Jody?
Yes.
So are you willing to do the process now?
Yes.
So you and anyone else who would like to do this, we're about to do an 8-word invocation for embodied awakening, and say it out loud if you can, silently if you must. So we're going to start, and you're talking to your higher self here. So let's begin now. Jody, would you please say out loud, maximum embodied awakening?
Maximum embodied awakening.
That serves highest good, please.
That serves highest good, please.
Thank you. Now let the words go and relax. Now the ego becomes completely passive and the divine comes to you. The things that will make the embodied awakening happen most quickly and easily, I recommend you do not use any effort or willpower to try to make anything happen or stop anything from happening. I recommend you do not deliberately visualize or imagine anything. Just be passive. Just feel the energy. Jody, do you have awareness of the energy that's moving in your body right now?
Yes.
So you just feel that and let it do what it wants.
Okay.
If anyone else is doing this and they can't feel the energy inside them, then just feel the breath coming and going. If you can feel the energy, that's optimal. If you can't feel it, use breath. And again, there's no controlling, there's only noticing what's happening anyway. So Jody, as you feel the energy coming in, and it comes in the crown of the head and it saturates you like water saturating a sponge. It's the water You're the sponge. And you just stay passive and it comes to you. If you become distracted during this process, don't fight the distraction. Just let it be as it is with no resistance. Treat the distraction as an uninvited guest and choose not to pay any more attention to it. Just return your attention back to feeling the energy or the breath and do this very gently and persistently. If the distraction persists in the background after you've done that, that is fine. Let it do its thing while you do your thing, focusing on energy or breath. If you fight the distraction, it'll get stronger. So just be back with your focus. You're getting pretty saturated there, aren't you, Jody?
Yes.
Feeling good. All right. The last nuance of this tool is to use the minimum effort needed even to feel energy or breath. So I invite everyone who's doing this right now just to relax to zero effort for a moment and just be. Whatever arises is fine. Just be for a moment completely 100% passive and just allow. I think you just got there, Jody. So the way to determine did I get to embodied awakening is to ask this question. And Jody, would you, after I ask the question, just say yes or no? Is all the following true? No mental chatter, no challenging emotion, peaceful and effortless.
Yes.
Okay, that's embodied awakening. That's the consciousness of the higher self that I just described. If your human is having that experience without effort, the only way that can happen, to my knowledge, is if you've blended with your higher self. So that's a great start. And just as a side note for anyone else, if you'd like to learn how to do this as a daily practice and make this exquisite state your new normal, go to astroshaman.com. And the last word in the menu bar is invocations. Click that or tap it, and it will take you into a free 6-part masterclass where you'll learn that and other cool stuff about how to do invocation stuff, all free. Okay. So Jody, you're in embodied awakening, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the challenge you want to work on today? What wounded part do you want to heal?
I would like to retrieve all of my soul fragments.
Okay, that's a bit much. Frankly, that's a lot more than we can do on a single session. Can you name a particular fragment that you would like to start with?
My self-worth.
Okay, so I assume your self-worth is lower than you would like it to be. You'd like to have a greater sense of self-worthiness, right?
Yes.
Okay, we can do that. That's enough information to start with. And are you willing to be fully transparent with your process as we move forward and verbalize it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So you're there in your inner world. And again, I'll be tuning in as well. And again, if you feel that my presence is too intrusive, just let me know, okay? However, I'm only watching. This is another difference, by the way, in how I do IFS and how many others do it. I'm so empathic. I am often right there in the inner world with the client, perceiving their inner world with them. And that's not normal for an IFS therapist. And again, I have to emphasize, I'm not a formally trained IFS therapist. I've learned it from the books and I'm doing it based on that knowledge, okay? So Jody, call to yourself now all parts that relate to your low self-worth and ask them all to come forward.
I now call to all parts of me that are related to my self-worth, and I ask you all to come forward now.
And now just relax and feel them showing up. Are you aware of presence showing up in your inner world there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, which one is most prominent? Which one is getting your attention the strongest?
I'm a child.
Okay, how old?
4 years old, 5.
Okay, and what's your emotional state at this age here?
Upset.
Okay, all right, so ask this part of you if you have permission to work with it.
Do I have permission to work with myself at age 5 or 6 when I was upset by my mother?
And is that part giving consent or not?
Yes.
Now, before we can work with this part, which we would classify as an exile, we need to first work with its protectors. So now call forth all protectors of this part.
I call forth all protectors of this part of me.
Good. And notice who shows up.
Hmm.
Okay, so who's coming forward?
My Aunt Vicky.
Okay, Aunt Vicky. All right, so now when we have a situation where an external person shows up, we have to discriminate. IFS is mostly formulated to work with internal parts, but since we live in an interesting world, sometimes external beings will show up too, and we have to discriminate. So ask Aunt Vicky, are you an internal part of me, or are you actually the spirit of Aunt Vicky showing up here? Ask which it is.
Okay, are you actually my Aunt Vicky or another internal part of me? She says she's my Aunt Vicky.
Okay, and do you perceive Aunt Vicky as someone who's more helpful to you, or who has
Yes.
no, she is a helpful person?
Yes.
All right, so thank her for showing up. Ask her, would you be willing, tell her you believe you have the means to heal this part of you now. Ask her, would she be willing to step aside and watch as you do that work? And always,
Okay. Thank you for showing up, Aunt Vicky. Would you be willing to step aside and let me heal this part of me? Yes.
okay, then ask her to please do that.
Please do so.
Notice we always ask. Okay, good. And by the way, your little dog must be aware of that spiritual presence because animals are super psychic.
Mhm.
Okay, good. So is that the only protector who showed up, or is any other part protecting that low self-esteem part?
It seems like there's some other beings tall. I
Okay,
don't know who they are.
okay. And they're tall?
Mm,
Are they human?
yes, human looking, yes.
About how many?
3 or 4.
And are they all very similar?
Yes.
Okay. So ask these parts, how are they helping you?
How are you helping me?
See what they say.
They're trying to protect me from the pain.
Okay, thank them for their service.
Thank you for your service.
Ask them, would they be willing to step aside while you do your best to heal this part, and watch.
Would you please step aside so I can heal this part of me? Yes.
Good. Any other protectors?
No.
Okay, so we're clear to work with the exile now. So walk back to that little 4-year-old girl. Is
Mhm.
she aware of you?
Yes.
Okay. So once again, ask permission to work with her and see if she gives that permission.
I ask permission to work with the part of me that is 4 years old.
Okay, now, but when you're addressing a part, talk to her, ask, may I work with you? Address her like a real being, okay?
May I work with you? Yes.
Okay. Ask, what would she like to be called?
What would you like to be called? She said, Little Jody.
Little Jody, great, okay? So, so tell little Jody that you would love to know her story of how she got to be this way. And she can either tell it to you in words or show it to you as a movie. But ask her, as she's sharing the story with you, ask her please not to overwhelm you with emotion. Tell her you want to feel some of the emotion, but ask her to keep it dialed down enough so that you don't get overwhelmed with it. And ask her
Mhm.
if she's willing to share the story in that way.
Little Jody, would you share your story with me of how you got this way? And would you share it with me and not overwhelm me with too much emotions? Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Now, as she relates the story, you can either kind of tell it as you're seeing it, or if it's easier for you, just watch it silently and let me know when she's finished telling it. Either way is fine. Whatever you're more comfortable with is fine. But let me know either way when the story is complete.
Okay.
Is she relating the story to you?
Yes,
Good. Just let her keep going.
she has a lot to say.
That's fine. Let her say it all. Let her take as much time as she needs. And those of you who are spectating this, just hold space for Jody as she's in this process. You can help the process that way. This will help her even if you're watching a replay afterwards.
Okay, she's done.
Okay. So now I don't need to know the details of the story to move forward. So ask her if she has given you the complete story that she wants to tell you.
Have you given me the complete story that you wanted to tell me? She says yes.
Good. So tell her there's now 2 courses she can take. One is to do a redo of what happened. She can literally in this inner world reinvent the story so it comes out the way she wanted it to. And that can have a powerful healing effect. The other option is just to leave the story as it happened and unburden herself. The unburdening is normally done through one of the elements. So her choices would be she could release this old pain through burning it in fire, burying it in the earth, washing it away with water, having the wind blow it away, or having spirit come down and either transmute it or lift it up to heaven. Ask her, would she rather redo the story to come out happy, or would you rather simply unburden the pain?
You have 2 choices. Would you rather rewrite the story or unburden it and transmute it up to the light? She says transmute it up to the light.
Okay, so she's using spirit. So let her do that now. And you just watch as she lets spirit heal this in her, okay? And just let me know when it's complete. And again, if you're spectating, holding space for this process will help it move forward.
Okay.
Okay, so what is her attitude and demeanor now? How does she feel? What's she doing?
She's happy. She's smiling. She's holding a little daisy.
Oh, sweet. So ask her, does she now feel fully unburdened from that pain?
Yes.
Beautiful. So tell her now there's a couple choices. One is she could stay in her new external reality and just play where she is in her own little space, or she could come and integrate with you and add her energy to you and come be part of you in the present day. Ask her, would you rather hang out in the little private world she's in, external, or would you rather come be part of you?
Okay. Would you rather stay in the external world that you're in now and play, or would you like to come and be with me and be part of me again? She said she wants to come and be part of me again.
Beautiful. So tell her to come on in. The water's fine.
Come on in. You're welcome. I love you.
And whatever way she wants to come into you is fine. And let me know if she's just kind of integrating in her own way.
Mm-hmm.
And let me know when you perceive that she has fully integrated.
Hmm. Yes, she's back.
Good. Ask her, is there anything she would like you to do moving forward to make sure she stays happily integrated?
Is there anything you would like me to do to make sure that you are happily integrated? She says, take better care of yourself.
Ask her specifically what she means by that.
What do you mean by that? Just to love myself more.
Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
Good. And tell her if she needs any support from you moving forward to please let you know.
If you need any support from me moving forward, please let me know.
Okay, beautiful. Now I'll mention here the standard IFS recommendation after a part's been integrated is to check in on it daily for 3 weeks. You can do that if you wish, and that can be as simple as like, hey, how you doing? Everything okay? And the part may say, fine, it might take like 10 seconds, no big deal. But if you want to check in from time to time, you can. She's only asked that you take better care of yourself in this way. So if you're willing to do that, that should keep her happily integrated. Okay, now we need to check in with the parts. Okay, so the last protectors were these 4 tall beings, right?
Yes.
Are they still there in the inner world?
Yes.
So ask them, is there any unfinished business regarding the part that you just worked with that they would like to do with you?
Protectors, is there any unfinished business that you would like to work with me with now? There is, but not associated with myself as a child.
Okay, so ask them, is there any unfinished business relating to the part you just worked with?
Is there any business related to the part I just worked with? No.
Okay, ask them, would they like to continue in their current roles, or would they like to take on new roles at this time?
Would you like to continue in your old roles or move on to the new roles? Move on with new roles.
And ask them, what would they like to do now?
What would you like to do now? Help me with my healing.
Okay, are you willing to let them do that?
Yes.
Then say, offer accepted. You'd love them to do that.
Offer accepted.
Okay, so ask them, are they complete with you now for the time being?
Are you complete with me now for the time being? Yes.
Okay, thank them.
Thank you.
And then you had your aunt show up, is that right?
Yes.
Is she still there?
Yes.
Ask her if she has any unfinished business with you regarding the part you just integrated.
Aunt Vicky, do you have any unfinished business with me with the part that I just integrated? She said no.
Okay, so ask her, would she like to continue helping you in the way that she has, or would she like to take on a new role now?
Would you like to continue to help me with a new role now and let go of the old role that you were helping me with? She will help me with the new role.
And what's her new role? What would you like to do?
Protect me.
Beautiful. Are you willing to let her do that?
Yes.
Then accept her offer.
I accept your offer. Thank you, Aunt Vicky. I love you.
All right, great. Okay, that's everybody. So now open your eyes. Do you feel different now compared to before we did that whole process?
Yes.
What-
I feel lighter and everything looks brighter and clearer.
Mhm.
I do feel like a lot of pressure in my head.
That's there now that was not there before?
Right. Yeah.
Does that feel good or bad?
Um, I would say that it feels more bad than good.
Okay. I'm feeling it too empathically. It's a,
A
okay.
lot of like pressure in my head. I don't know
I'm
why.
feeling it too. My sense, okay, before we work with that, is there anything else you're noticing as different?
No.
Okay. All right. So I believe that I'm empathically experiencing that. When I feel what you're feeling there, tell me if
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong, but does it feel like it's like there's energy working inside your brain and feeling?
Yes.
Yeah, you're getting
Yes.
an upgrade. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yes, that would make sense.
And am I correct? Already the pressure is lessening and there's more of a sense of integration of the energy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little
So,
bit.
all right, the allies are talking to me and saying, just let, so what happened is because you did a significant piece of work there, there's some mental rewiring that they need to do to help lock it in. It's kind of a spiritual post process.
That makes
And
sense.
yeah, they're saying it won't take long. Just, in fact, already it's diminishing as they wrap it up. So I don't think it
Mhm.
lasts much longer. Already it feels like half as strong as it was when you reported it. So
Okay.
I don't think it'll be a problem, and it's a one-shot effect of the work, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so so you said it was a self-worth issue that we
Yes.
worked with, right? Okay, so eh, try to get a sense of how do I feel about myself now? What is my perception of my own self-worth now? And just kind of, if you can get a read on that and tell me if it feels any different now. Do you feel any more or less worthy now than?
I do feel better about myself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I do feel like part of that, the old part of me is like gone away and there's like a new part coming in
Mm-hmm.
and I feel better. I do feel better.
Good. Yeah, typically what happens is when you reclaim a lost part and you integrate it, there basically every time we get wounded and a part splits off, we
Mhm.
lose vitality, we lose creativity, we lose life force. Okay.
Mm,
So every part that is unburdened and reintegrated brings us more wholeness as our human self.
okay.
And
That
so
makes sense.
if you do this like systematically and keep calling back the parts, then you'll get more and more whole, more and more complete, more joy, vitality, exuberance, joy, bliss. All of it just starts ramping up again
That
as
sounds wonderful.
you become a more complete and whole being again. Yeah. So it's like all of us have these little wounded parts out on strings, if you will, and this process can get to them, bring them back, and make you whole again. So
Mhm.
that's what and it's 4:06. So what did that take, Laura? About 20 minutes,
About
roughly?
20 minutes, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And that's
We didn't
typical.
spend that
That's
long.
the time it takes. What she and I just did is textbook my process. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
great, Jody.
Well, that
yeah,
was amazing. Thank you so much, Benjamin.
you're welcome.
I really appreciate your help with that. And
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for your courage in doing this in such a public way. I really appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
And let us know, Jody, how you're doing as you move on next couple of days. Just let us know how you're doing. Just check in.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. I will.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you for being brave.
No problem. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Wow. So that was not as painful as I thought it was going to be honest. That was pretty good. And yes, in 20 minutes, you can have, a transformation like that.
Yeah. Now again, one thing I would emphasize here that is one of the more surprising things when people do this, the unburdening, once that didn't even take a minute.
Yeah.
The part said, "Spirit, come take it away." And I wasn't timing, but it felt like it took maybe 30 seconds and it was done. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So the IFS shows that these things can happen very quickly and smoothly and efficiently. It doesn't have to be a lot of drama and noise and flailing around. It can be very, very quick and efficient when you use a process like this. So I'm just delighted and frankly continue to be amazed at how fast the stuff gets cleared.
So is there anything that Jody needs to do, like, drink water, ground, that kind of stuff?
Well, I guess broadly, it would be good to, nothing she has to do, but it might be optimal to take it easy for a while, drink a lot of water, relax, just kind of do things that are nurturing and healing and there may be some integration that happens and maybe some inner process that may continue to happen, but I felt like she's pretty buttoned up with that part. So
Awesome.
there may not be a lot of further work needed to have that. And again, as I said earlier with that one client, part of your work, Jody, now may be to get used to the new you who feels better about herself. The thing about IFS, it's a system, and there's lots of members of that family in there, and that one part coming to wholeness may have downstream effects on other parts and destabilize the system a little bit. So often doing one good piece of work will then show you, okay, here's the next piece of work. Now this part is responding to what happened with the other part. Now this part's coming up and wanting some attention. And it creates this beautiful cascade where each part makes itself known. Then you work with that part, and then like dominoes, you just, take them one at a time, and the whole system gets stronger and more integrated and more whole, and pretty cool.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, so that's amazing. A brand new modality, well, not brand new modality, but a brand new modality that we had that I was not aware of. That is actually, like you said, you're excited about it. It's working. You've been playing around with it for a while, and because and it's fast, right? It was fast, and that's what we like to see and experience are these fast transformations. Because let's face it, we don't have time for years of therapy, right?
Well, I don't have time for that.
Exactly. Wonderful. Good. Thank you. All right. So do you want to talk a little bit about the package?
Oh yeah. Before I do that though,
yeah.
So obviously I do IFS in my own style. I need to say once again, I am not a certified IFS therapist. I can't put that label. I've learned the tools and techniques, and as far as I know, there's no law against me doing what I've just done. I'm not violating any professional rules or ethics that I'm aware of. But if you want to work with a certified IFS practitioner, then you can go to ifsinstitute.com. That's IFS, like Internal Family Systems -institute.com. And they have a whole listing internationally of certified practitioners who've gone through the whole formal training and have been stamped approved. And if you want to work by the book with a certified therapist, then that's where to go. Okay.
Awesome. Good.
I mean, I'm happy to work with people in my own peculiar way, but if someone wants the bona fide certified therapist, then there is the site there. They can go get the real deal. All right.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
As I mentioned, one thing I'm about to add to my membership in the next few days, because of what I'm doing with you, frankly, inspired me, is I'm going to put in a process with IFS specifically for law of attraction obstacles. And I at first I thought of doing this as a live call, but then I realized it wouldn't work live because different people are going to need different amounts of time. You saw how many steps there are in that process.
Yeah.
And one person might do it in 30 seconds, another one might need 5 minutes. I don't know of an effective way to do this in a group setting, but what I can do is the steps you just saw me use, I can put that into, okay, now what we're working on is obstacles to manifestation. And we'll go through a very similar, what I'll do is, okay, now call up the part that's doing such, and then I'll say, and then pause the recording and take all the time to do it. And then when you've done that bit, unpause the recording and we'll go to the next step. And the recording itself will be fairly short, but the actual duration, because you're doing inner work, will be far longer than the duration of the recording. You'll just keep pausing and unpausing at each step.
Yeah, makes sense.
And in fact, I may do even more. I mean, there's pretty much an infinite number of specific things you could do with recordings like that. So it may breed a whole bunch of different, things in the membership on using IFS for this, and that. Okay.
Awesome.
But we're going to start with law of attraction blockage. And I'm sure there will be other, in fact, I'll probably survey my membership. What would you like to see a process on? And we'll put a bunch of them in there. Okay. Anyhow, so that's just to let people know why what I'm about to promote with my offer, is relevant to what I just did, because in a few days, and today is April 6, 2021, within a few days, that course will be live in the membership and anyone who joins will have access to it. Okay. What I'm giving is a 1-year membership to my Awakening Plus spiritual membership. And this is an online membership where the membership is designed to support you in your spiritual awakening, in your healing, and as a collective, we support the great Aquarian age blooming on Earth right now. Okay. and there is a special price available to listeners of this program. If it's okay, I'll just give a nutshell of what the membership is. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Awakening Plus, the membership first has one of the main components is live Zoom calls. We do at least 9 calls per month. The calls last 1 to 2 hours. And the calls are everything from very gentle processes where we move into the inner worlds and move into awakening and blend as a sweet blended group. There's some real intense things where we do hard on, full on shamanic breakthrough stuff where I'm drumming and rattling, or I've put together a breathwork playlist. We're going deep and really purging out the heavy stuff very intensely. Every week we do something called New Earth Support Team, where we get together as a collective and do a process that supports the Great Awakening on planet Earth. And the way we do that is we ourselves are healed and awakened, and the divine allies we work with take us to this exquisite level of awakening that for many people is like the furthest they've ever gotten. And just us being individually awakened within the context of that call radiates it down to the earth. And it's like we're surrogate awakeners, if you will. Okay. And we do that every Monday. Then every Wednesday, there's a rotating series of calls, like, for example, the sweet, gentle stuff and the real intense shamanic stuff. Occasionally we have a guest presenter. There's actually a dozen different categories of the kind of things we do. So there's a lot. So basically 9 opportunities per month to work with us live on Zoom. Every month, there's also a community support call for members where we get together and interact and share what's going on with us and support each other. And then there's the archive. Everything we do except for community calls is saved as an archive event. And as of now, there are over 300 archived events. And fortunately, there's a best of guide that lets you know the very cream of the crop stuff, so you can go right to the juiciest stuff in the 12 categories. And I get told over and over again by members, the archive events are just as powerful as the live events. And in fact, most members don't even do the live events. They just work with the archive. Okay, it's that powerful. And on top of that, we have a forum where we can share with each other. You have the opportunity to hook up with an accountability partner to work with whatever you like to help you stay on track with what you need to do. There's more stuff beyond that, but that's the main stuff in the membership. Okay, so normally a year's membership is $189. Okay, but the special that we're working here is all that for $99. Okay, a full year of membership, that's far less than $10 a month. It's literally about a 50% savings on what you would normally pay, and you get your first year for a sweet low price.
So I was just calculating, like $10 a month for 9 calls, you know, for nine live calls per month.
You're getting it for what? Not even $1 a call if you do them all, right?
That's crazy.
I mean, most memberships don't have 9 calls a month, right?
No.
And the websites do. You don't have to do them all. You don't have to do any of them live. Okay. Don't feel overwhelmed. They're just, I give lots of options and lots of types of calls so you can pick and choose the ones you like and the ones you can get to. Okay. So anyhow, so that's all available. And plus there's a 30-day guarantee. If you buy the package and within 30 days, you don't care for it, just ask for the refund and you get all your money back. Yeah, so you get to totally try it. Within 30 days, you'll know for sure. You'll have time to explore the archive and do some live calls and catch the vibe of the group and see if it's your thing. Exactly. And hopefully by now you've got a sense of me. I mean, I'm the membership. I run it and I do all the events. And if you're vibing with me right now, then you'll probably enjoy the membership. And if not, then probably not. So
I know, it's like when I look at this membership, it's like, oh my goodness, there's like so much available. And of course we all love you, Benjamin. There's no question about that. So it's like, why wouldn't somebody join the membership? Is it just because it's like the timing, it's 8 p.m. Eastern, but like you said, even on the recording, it's just as effective as live. So that's,
I mean, the time isn't really a deal breaker because you don't have to do the call. The person would not do it if they don't feel an affinity with me,
right?
Because my energy is, of course, the energy of the membership, or it may not be the precise thing a person may be wanting to develop their feminine goddess side, and I'm not carrying that energy so strong. So they would probably prefer a female teacher. Everyone's at a different level. There are a certain group of people who are going to be drawn to me and what I'm offering right now. and it's the right thing for them at that time. And for others, they just don't feel the connection and it's not time for that. Or, I may not be the right person for them in this whole lifetime.
Exactly.
And so I realize I'm here for a minority of people, but if you vibe with what I'm offering and you want to give it a shot, if you feel like, yeah, I might be interested in checking that out, check it out.
Yeah, check it out. So I put the link in the chat. It's astroshamanacademy.com/Alara, special offer April 2021. So of course I'll put the link in the email, and I'll put the link in the YouTube video replay and the podcast replay. It'll all be there. But yeah, check it out. See how it feels. You can, I guess, there's also a free gift that Benjamin has available as well. Check that out too. All just as powerful as well. So check it out and just see how you vibe with Benjamin. But it is a great membership, I have to admit. It's like, I don't know how you find the time to do all that, to be honest, but it's like, oh my God, it's like, I have a membership, but I do 4 calls a month, and that's like, that's all I can do. I can't do more than that. It's like 9, whoo.
Well, I love it. It's like Awakening Plus is like my favorite thing to do. Because it is my life purpose. I'm here to help people heal and awaken and to help serve the great collective awakening. And Awakening Plus is my vehicle for doing it. So I get to do my life purpose for a living. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're so lucky that you're here with us. Every couple of months you're back with us. And this today was this new process, this new modality was totally brand new to me. I had no idea. So I'm so glad that you shared that with us. But also, like every time you do come on, we always do the embodied awakening processes, and they are so powerful. I mean, we've done them several times on these calls, and they're so powerful. I absolutely love those processes.
Thank you.
They're great. But it's not just that, it's also, your energy, right? Your energy, your integrity, how you work, how you interact with people. It's also beautiful and so real is what I would like to say. It's very real, Yeah. So, I obviously give you a thumbs up.
Well, I say thumbs up to you too. You're awesome.
Thank you. All right. So is there anything else we want to touch on today before we go?
That's all that I was really wanting to put forth today.
Oh, awesome. Cool. It's like, oh, not 2 hours. It's like, yay, bonus. I put that in my emails now saying maximum of 2 hours, because sometimes people go a little over and it's just too much for me, So I also, part of this, part of doing these shows too is about recognizing what my boundaries are, right? What my requirements are and what works for me, and as you said, you love doing the Awakening Plus membership. I love doing, these shows, I love my membership. I love my monthly groups. I love all of that. But I also have, now, like with Robert being home, is a little bit of time thing, So it's like I have to make sure he gets his pills, and that's about it now. But he's doing great. He's like, oh my God, doing way too much than he should be doing. But I'm just glad that he's home now, So it's times are different. Times are different. But life changes all the time, right? And so as your life changes, as you're moving forward, as we're moving into spring, see what do you require? Do you require some new tools? Do you require some new energy? Do you require some accountability? Sometimes we need the accountability partner so that we can start moving forward. And that I think that's a great bonus that you offer in your membership group, Benjamin, is the accountability partner. I think that really helps, for sure. And sometimes we just brush over that, but I think it's one of the key, if you want to talk about manifestation, law of attraction, goal setting, that's one of the key things that you need is an accountability partner to keep you on track. Right. So that's also available in the membership.
Yeah, there was a study by a group that studies these sorts of things, and they, you know how many people say, oh, I'm going to do that, and they often never end up doing it. But they've actually done studies. If you have actually an accountability partner and that person is holding you accountable for getting done what you said you were going to do, the likelihood of getting it done actually jumps to 95%.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to get done if you've got someone holding your feet to the fire to do it. So
exactly. So that's an added bonus. So if you have goals, if you have plans, if there's things you want to do, think about the membership as not just for healing and awakening per se, but also for, moving you forward in your goals as well, and moving you forward in your life as well. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Jody, hopefully you're doing well. Keep us posted. Let us know how you're doing. Keep breathing, drink water, but just enjoy this new being, the new beingness of you, being, different than you were before the call started, right? So having more self-worth, being more present, being more, whatever you're feeling now, just continue to be that. And it is sometimes different to, when you start integrating those parts of yourself that were not there before, you are different, right? And it takes a bit of time to, it's like, yeah, this is the new me now. So celebrate.
Yeah, one thing I will add is I remember back when I had what I call the big awakening in 2012, where I finally had an awakening that was still there when I woke up the next morning and hadn't gone away overnight. And it was such exquisite bliss that I honestly wondered if I'd hit the end of the line right there. Did I go all the way in? Because this bliss is so far beyond anything I even knew was possible. And since then, having had additional awakenings, I now realize that was like the starting line. And so what I would encourage people to know is, don't ever assume you've had a final awakening.
Yeah.
Because you can't even conceive the next one till it shows up.
Yeah.
And stay open to that. There could be even more cool stuff awaiting you. And when you're ready, the awakening will happen. You've heard people say it doesn't get any better than this. I have a different motto. My motto is it always gets better than this. And
Absolutely.
It's just, if you can get to the end of the year and say, yep, I woke up a little bit more, then that's powerful. I encourage people to do their shadow work, whether it's through IFS or invocations or any other tool, because my observation over the years as a shaman and everything else I do is, the awakened you is already there at the core. What happens is this beautiful spirit core then gets surrounded by layers of pain and trauma, and your human self is outside that what I call the great onion of consciousness, the core of light surrounded by layers of pain. And if you just get serious with your shadow work and find quick and effective ways to peel those old layers of pain, like we just did with Jody, she's now got one less layer on her onion, and the light's a little brighter from her human perspective. And theoretically, if you could peel every single layer, you'd be 100% awakened.
Yeah.
Okay. So I view shadow work for most people as absolutely central to awakening and the fastest way there, because you're already awake at the core. The awakening's a done deal. Your human self just has to gain more awareness of it and remove the obstacles that are in the way of its perception. And that's shadow. So that's a really central principle that I always work with.
And so now there's a new way to work with the shadow more quickly, more efficiently, faster. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. So which we didn't even know about for most of us. I know it's been around for 40 years, but I never heard of it. So thank you. Yay. Yeah. All right, everyone. Yeah, it's almost midnight. It's almost 11 o'clock here. So we're still early here. Thank you, Elena. All right, so wow. So please do take a look at the package for Benjamin, the membership program. It's also going to include, coming up soon, the IFS work, the IFS course or class, right? So that you can start to do it for yourself as well. So that'll be interesting. That's wonderful, Benjamin. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on again, Laura.
And thank you, Jody, for being with us and being so brave. And thank you, everybody, for your comments and feedback and for supporting and holding space for Jody as she went through the process for the first time, right? So thank you, thank you, thank you. This was awesome. And we really appreciate all of your support as well, right? So thank you. All right, everyone. So thank you, Benjamin. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Always so much fun. We always learn so much. And of course, another brand new process, which we all actually did participate in. So for those of you who were with us throughout the whole call, give yourself a break as well. Drink some water, feel, walk around a little bit and allow yourself to breathe and just be, because you also were participating a little bit for yourself. So thank you. All right, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now. Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Bye.